Okay, well, obviously we're past the midterm election. We got 50% of what we wanted. We didn't get it all, but that's okay. It means we just got to work a little harder going forward. But we got 2 years, and this 2 years is going to be packed with a lot of people saying this and people saying that. Make sure that you seek out the person that you really want to vote for, and don't just say, okay, first out, this is who I'm going to vote for, and you go ahead and set your mind to that. Make sure you take this 2 years to study all of what this person's about, and make sure that whenever you, and talk to your friends about it, have some discussions about it. I hope the American people know after 2 years what our current president's agenda is. We know what he said when he was campaigning against President Trump, and he's stood pretty tight on that. Matter of fact, I think he's even expanded, and it looks like he's got a lot on his agenda for the next 2 years. He's going to try to crowd a bunch of stuff in the next month or so, also before the other people get sworn in. But here's what we need to do going forward. Look at what your pocketbook is today, what things cost today, and what they cost 2 years ago. Nobody has to sell you on something. Be your own judge. Look at your own household. Look what it costs to fill your car up. It's come down some, thank goodness for that. Look what it costs to buy your groceries. Look where we are today, and look where you were 2 years ago. I've heard a lot of politicians just always say, well, are you better off today than you were 2 years ago? Well, obviously we're not, but we're not bad enough off, I guess, because we didn't change the House and the Senate. I'm a little bit shocked that we had 70-something million people vote for President Trump, and then we had a little over half of that come back in the midterm and vote to try to change the House and the Senate. That tells me that we're more focused on who's president of the United States and not who's in the Senate and the House. And I can assure the American people that you need to focus on all of that. All three of these are very important: the House, the Senate, and the White House. And when one group has 100% of that, which they've had for 2 years, then you see what the outcome of that is. There's a lot of fallout for what's going on. And I know that we hear a lot about the Green New Deal. We hear a lot about the electric cars, and we hear a lot about shutting down this industry or that industry. There's a lot of people poking at one another. He said and I said. The lawyers would say that's hearsay. So what we want to do over the next 2 years, our team is going to go out and we're going to visit with towns that have been affected by President Biden's policies. If there's a town a plant that's been shut down, a steel mill is not working because we can't fire it with coal, or a power plant can't work because we're not going to use coal, or we're going to shut down nuclear powerhouses across the United States. I want to go see where the fallout is for the next 2 years, and I want to report that back to you so you can see what the policies of the current administration are doing to this country. Don't be mistaken, that what you hear, just because the White House says something, that doesn't make it true. Bear it out for yourself. We're intelligent people. Although right now around the world, a lot of the foreign countries view us as not being very intelligent. We're shutting down our oil and gas industry. We're switching over to an unreliable electric system that we don't even really know how that's going to come out. But yet, if you look at some of the other foreign countries that have tried this in the past, you can see they've had a lot of failures with that. So for us to just go all in, dive in without testing the depth of the water, that's not very smart. And we're doing that, and we're doing it just by leaps and bounds. It's like it's a hurry up. And when you hurry up on something, then usually you make a lot of mistakes and you drop a lot of things that you should go back and pick up and try to straighten up later. But when plants start closing, and right now across the United States, there's a lot of refineries, oil, petrochemical plants, they're looking at closing. For them to repair what they need to repair right now to get up to code to the new restrictions that the White House has got on them, a lot of them are going to close some of these smaller marginal plants down. And when you close several of those down across the United States, understand it's not just the 150 or 200 or 300 people working in that plant. When you close a plant down in a small community, then you've hurt the tax for that school district. the police department, the fire department. It's got a lot of repercussions completely through that community. It's not just the people that get the pink slip. The stores are going to suffer. Everything's going to suffer when you take the breadwinner of that community away as an industry. So make sure you understand that whenever we just generate electricity from a wind farm or solar field out here, and it comes on transmission to your house, we've eliminated a lot of jobs, obviously. And maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I maintain it's a bad thing. I don't think it's going to be any cheaper. Matter of fact, I think it's going to be more expensive, and I know it's going to be a lot less reliable. But in the meantime, when you look around a refinery and you see the amount of trucks that go in and out of that facility a day, carrying pallets, carrying chemicals, carrying people in and out, that's going to stop. When it stops, those trucks, that is going to quit going through that community. Those people that stop at a store, grab a sandwich, get something cold to drink, those people are not going to be there. So that economy leaves that area when you replace it with just electric grid coming into the city. Not saying the electric grid is not where we want to go. We do need it, obviously. Nobody would like to go home today and their power's off, obviously. We've grown dependent on it. We've grown kind of soft. We like the air conditioning. We like the warmth in the wintertime, and it's comfortable. It's clean, but it's unreliable. We live here on the Gulf Coast where we have a lot of problems with the hurricanes and some tornadoes. And when they come through and they devastate a town or a community, and then you come back for 3 weeks to 5 weeks to 8 weeks to get that city or that community back up where they have electricity, we depend on generators here. A lot of towns, a lot of big hospitals depend on generators. They're run by natural gas or diesel. So if we're not going to have natural gas and diesel, or going to have a limited supply of it, how do you power up the generators to keep people from freezing or burning up in the summertime? There's a lot of things that I don't think has been thought out completely on this. And again, that's what happens when you're in haste and you go out here and you take over, you're going to change an industry, or you change a country that's been doing something for over 100 years, and you want to change it, and you set a time limit. We're going to do this by 2035, or maybe we'll stretch it out to 2050. That's just to appease the American people, saying we'll go out to 2050. There's so much at hand out here for us to look at. So don't just find you a candidate and say, this is the man or woman I want to vote for. Make sure you look at their policies and what they stand for, and make sure that you know these people. And you take the whole 2 years. As soon as somebody announces they're going to run, start doing your homework on that person right now. Because if you don't, then when the election time comes, don't blame anybody but yourself. Look in the mirror if you didn't vote right. Because we know, we have a taste of what the Biden administration will do. We've had 2 years of it. And for you and for me, I've suffered. Our area suffers. Our business, our own business right here, is suffering tremendously. Now, that's not the reason I'm doing this. At 72 years old, I don't need to get up and come down here a whole lot many more years. But I can guarantee you this area, the Gulf Coast, this is where the refineries are. This is where the jet fuel is made for our nation. And I would question that our military, if we're going to have a strong military, which this country has always prided itself with a strong military, you take the oil and gas industry away, and you're going to shrink your military. You're going to fix it where your military has to depend on some foreign country to get the diesel to run that equipment. It's going to be a long time before all your tanks, your Apache helicopters, it's going to run on a battery. Don't fool yourself, America. It's not going to be 100% carbon free. It can't be. It'll never be. That's a misstatement. I won't call it a lie. I'll just say it's a misstatement. Bad judgment. We'll never get there. And if you strive to get there, you're going to destroy this country. And this is a shame to look back and see where we are today and where we've been. And we've got a lot of other problems that face this country, and most of it's political, because our politicians fuss and fight. And if you come from a household where mom and dad fuss and fight all the time, it's hard to get the kids not to do that sooner or later. But you have to settle your differences as a country without the fussing and fighting that the Democrats and Republicans do. All it is pointing a finger at one another. And it seems like that it gets worse as time goes on. And then, if somebody hasn't done anything wrong, I think they just up and lie about the other side. I'm not picking sides on that issue. I'm just saying we need to, as politicians, please stay on the issue, what affects America and American people's lives. If you do your job right and you study out everything that you need to before you make your mind up or your direction, chances are you're going to make a lot more right moves than bad moves. This administration is, for some reason, just 100 miles an hour. Can't get enough. Can't change things quick enough. Can't run over the top of people. We're giving money away at a pace it's unprecedented. We're giving billions of dollars away. We're fighting wars that are not here. If you took one of those allotments, one $50 or $70 or $80 billion package, and you gave that across the United States to help our police departments, you could put 2 policemen in every car. You could help stamp out the crime that's eroding this city, eroding the country, eroding your county. It's unbelievable what you could do with that much money if you put it back to work here in this country. We need to have safe streets. We need to have secure borders. We need to have safe schools. We have to have good jobs. We have to have people that have got their head on straight in what they're about. This deal of always being mad at the other side, you get nothing done that way. I'm hoping that if you ever see anything that we post, if you know of any town, any plant that was closed, any school district that's having a hard time because the tax base left, if you see any of that, if you know of that, please post that so we can I'd like to get in touch with that town. I'd like to interview one of those people, or maybe more of those people that unfortunately lost their job, that may be 5 or 10 or 15 years from retirement, but yet now all this has been thrown away. Maybe a second or third generation working at a plant or a coal mine. To have that taken away at this juncture is totally unfair. That's not what this country is about. You know, we might want to progress, and that's fine. You always want to try to do better, but not at the cost of humans, their lives, their families being devastated, and that's what's going to happen. And I'm afraid, America, please wake up before you go to the store and you can't open the door, or you go to the station and you can't get any gas because it's out, and then you ask what happened. It's happening to you today. We're putting all of our eggs in one basket, and it's called a foreign basket. We're doing away with what we do here in this country, what we've always done for over 150 or 200 years. We've always stood on our own. We've taken care of ourselves. We've taken care of our allies. But we're spending money so fast right now, there's no way they can keep up with it. And they're digging the hole for your children, your grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, a hole that they may never get out of. And that's unfair for them to inherit that. They should inherit what me and you inherited, not what's being put to them today. I hope most of you look at this and you say, you know what, maybe the old man's got something today. I'm not trying to tell you who to vote for. I'm just trying to tell you, go out there and look at where your life is today, what your community's about, the schools. Look at your police department. Look at your hospitals. They all depend on tax dollars. And if you take your industry away, you take these refineries, you take these power plants away, it's not just clean energy. What you're going to do is you're going to do away with a lot of thousands, tens of thousands, if not millions of jobs in the economy that goes with that. So I don't know that the economist in Washington has figured all that in. I'd be willing to bet you they haven't, because if they had figured it all in, they'd slow this thing down. We can get there. We need alternative energies. That's fine to have a backup. But for that to be the primary, I think is a mistake. I'll take a break right here.